way too fucking early for this. Way too fucking early. But we're here. Let's get going, kids. Let's go. To Recomp Trainer, and it's quads today. Well, yesterday was lower back and hamstrings. You're probably asking, how the hell does that work? You probably have a really sore lower back. How are you gonna squat? You know what? I'm asking myself that same question. Really take this foam roller and dig deep into the spine. Allow a lot of spinal compression, decompression. Make sure you're getting every vertebrae, thoracic, lumbar, cervical, all up to your neck, all the way down to the lumbar, even the sacrum. That's one way to at least prevent injury, so, and make the movements a lot more comfortable. So we're going to be starting on front squats today, and with that being said, I gotta make sure my quads are actively stretched. So it is 5:30 a.m. right now. I have to be at work by 8 o'clock, so we've got to be at the gym by around 6 to 6:15, train for about an hour and a half, and mire with our day. So let's grind today, kids. I don't want to see any weakness. For those of you that really don't like getting up this early, because I don't, I'm going to need a little extra boost. Some coffee might help. What I'm going to do today, always ensure, guys, before any sort of squat movement, that you always rotate and warm up the rotator cuffs. Many of you probably ask why. Let's see, rotator cuffs is a very, very small muscle that is very, very deep and superficial right here on the top of the shoulder. It also activates part of the neck. When you have a tight neck, imagine a bar with about 200, 300, 400 pounds, however much you squat, on top of that neck. You want that neck to be loose. You want to do rollouts, foam roll it, get a carb buffer, do shrugs, arm circles, get that neck warmed up for at least 5 minutes. What I like doing is 10 rotations per arm this way, 10 rotations this way, 10 front raises, and 10 back raises. That way I've got to full stretch, even my lats even get some work. So there's a tip of the day for you guys. Get one raw green tea packet here that I'm going to put 100% pure natural green tea. We're going to do our scoop glutamine. Look at this bad boy. This is like one of the biggest pre-workout scoopers I've literally seen. And one scoop of creatine monohydrate. Run up these stairs. Here's our warm up. Whew. We have a post-workout HGH shot and Novolin R in a little cooler. So that's what we got here. And on hand I have 2 bananas. Gummy bears are also in there along with 2 meals.
Alright guys, to start this quad workout, we are performing a front squat. Here, because it's 6 a.m. in the morning, it's taken me a while to get warmed up here, so I performed numerous warm-up sets to ensure, and reps to ensure that I had active blood flow, that I was completely stretched all around the hips, hamstrings, quads, lower back, being that I'm still a little sore there from yesterday's workout. So I started up with the bar, racked on 95 pounds, performed about 10 to 15 to somewhere around 20 repetitions in that area, in that range, to get fully warmed up. Our first working set is 135 pounds, performed for 15 repetitions non-stop. I am not breaking parallel here, nor am I going that deep due to the soreness in my lower back and the fact that I forgot my knee wraps today. But I'm going just low enough where I can feel enough contraction in my quads to know that I'm getting a good rep in. I then attach resistance bands, as you can see, to the links at the bottom of the power rack. Little did I know that these links were sliding off as I was performing the set, so I had to strip them off and eventually move to a different power rack. I didn't want to force having these links come off, so I then attached them to the actual power rack themselves, and this had too much resistance to my lower back and torso as it was pulling me and gravitating me towards the wall. So I performed 5 to 6 repetitions each of the set there. I then moved to a different power rack as shown here, took off the resistance bands and performed a working set with 185 pounds for 10 repetitions, pausing at the top, actively breathing, taking a big breath and descending down. A front squat kind of gives a lot more of an oxygen gasp than a back squat, so you got to breathe in and out. Here with this set, there's 205 pounds performed for 5 repetitions with the 25-pound resistance bands, making this 255 with the lockout. We then stripped off the 85 and the 10. The 25 and the 10 back down to 135, working our way back down, pyramiding for another 10 to 12.
Bar with the 225-pound resistance bands, making the lockout portion 255 pounds. Performed just 2 reps, drop back down to 135 with the resistance bands. Performed only 5 reps. I mean, this is so early, I can't get lactic acid flowing in blood. It's hard. I'm gonna rest 30 seconds and perform another 5 reps until we hit 25. 5 sets, 5 reps, 30 seconds rest.
After pyramiding back down, we are performing another working set of 10 to 15 repetitions here with 135 pounds in the band. These repetitions are done non-stop. If you cannot complete the required repetitions without taking a break, you can use rest pause as shown here. I did about 8 repetitions, took a rest, did about another 2 to 3 to reach 10 to 11 reps, took another rest, did another 2 to 3 until I made it up to 15 count repetitions. You can always pick a number in your head and target that as a goal. Next shown here, I am performing my final set of 15 repetitions. Again, I use the rest pause method to complete my targeted reps. Performed about 5 or 6 here, racked the weight, took off the bands, and performed another 5 or 6 repetitions until I reached 15. Surprisingly and unfortunately, this gym has the hack squat directly next to a mirror and a wall. Therefore, you cannot squat at the very end of the paddle there, otherwise you'll end up hitting the wall. So I took my toes up a little bit near the machine, performed half reps here, pausing about a second at the bottom and exploding up. This is our first warm-up set. I then did a reverse hack squat and turned around the other direction, facing the wall, and performed another 10 to 12 repetitions. Doing about a half rep, not a full repetition, due to the positioning of this exercise. It's kind of hard to get a full rep in without injury. Moving on to our next set, we have 4 plates aside, performing another 10 to 15 repetitions, pausing about a second to a second and a half at the bottom portion of the rep and exploding up. This allows more time under tension for the quads, which then creates more hypertrophy or chances for hypertrophy. Not only is this harder, but with decreasing the tempo of each rep, it primes the muscle for ongoing exercises that you would do of the same tempo. I then perform some half reps there to knock out the rest of my set. Performing a second set with 4 plates aside, doing another 10 to 15 repetitions, incorporated with about 4 to 5 half reps at the end of the set. Once you cannot complete full repetitions anymore, half reps are allowed, or you can use rest pause or even a drop set. There are numerous different methods to pre-exhausting a muscle. For the purposes of this workout, I much rather prefer you do half reps. But if you want to use rest pause or drop set, those work just as fine. to our fifth and final set of the hack squat. I'm performing again the same tempo of about a 1 second to a second and a half pause at the bottom portion of the rep with half reps incorporated as shown here. I was unable to complete 10 to 15 repetitions and ended up failing at 8 due to the pre-exhaustion I was in.
I think now I've earned the reward of doing leg exercises sitting down as opposed to standing up. My lower back is screaming for pain. Oh my God, how am I gonna finish this workout?
Now that our first two exercises are done for the day, I think we've earned the right to sit down and perform some quad movements. So here, we're doing in a superset fashion, 20 repetitions of the leg extension, rotating onto the leg press here for another 20 repetitions. There are only 2 plates aside, as this is considered my kind of priming warm-up set for the oncoming heavy sets, as I want my body to get a feel for the motion that it's going to be moving in.
Setting back to back leg press, leg extension, 20 reps apiece. Not concerned about weight here. Getting that pump. High reps, low rest. We'll do heavy sets again later.
Now we're going to incorporate a superset drop set combo. So here, perform 20 repetitions of a given weight with the leg extension. Then lower the weight and perform a drop set of another 10 to 15 repetitions. This weight doesn't have to be very heavy, but allow enough where you can feel contraction in the quads, working the teardrop portion of the muscle. If possible, do a tempo of 1 second hold at the top, 1 second hold for it to get to the bottom. Again, superset this with the leg press. As you can see, I have 5 plates aside, performing about 10 to 15 repetitions. Once this was done, I had to do rest pause to reach my targeted reps, then stripped off 1 plate aside, back down to 4 plates, performed another 10 to 15 repetitions to failure using rest pause. In between each superset, rest about 30 to 45 seconds, as it's kind of hard to walk from station to station, especially when you're limping due to the intensity of this workout. We're not moving so much weight, we're moving so much as far as muscle exhaustion.
This is where it all dials down to. This is what the past 2 days of motivation and training comes with. These last supersets, these last drop sets. Like, how much can you really take? Moving on to the leg extension for another drop set. Superset with the leg press. 45 seconds between rest and 2 sets.
After resting 45 seconds, moving back to the leg extension, performing another 15 to 20 repetitions, again drop setting. As you can see here, as I started to pre-fatigue at the end of the set, I was holding the handlebar that was actually used to leverage the leg extension, as this provided assistance for me using the rep. It took off about 10 to 15 pounds or however much I pulled on it. Next exercise here is a dumbbells back lunge. Here I am holding just 2 20-pound dumbbells, performing at about 10 to 15 back steps per leg. I then drop the dumbbells and perform 10 to 15 body weight back lunges to failure. Then I superset this with a lateral side jump on the bench. You can either do this or you can do a jumping back lunge. Now moving on to our working set, here I am holding 2 45-pound dumbbells, performing another 10 to 15 repetitions per side. I then drop these back down to the original weight that we had for our first warm-up set, the 20 pounds that were right behind me. Performing the same amount of repetitions, I did these in a sissy squat fashion. As you can see, I'm holding the dumbbells more upright. What this does is allow more tension to be taken and gravitate towards the front of the body, making the rep a little bit harder. Rest until it takes time to rack the dumbbells, then perform body weight squats, superset with back lunges. Do this for about 30 seconds to 45 seconds, as this is a circuit. You can also do this in a jumping fashion as shown here. Jumping back lunges. Then we moved on to calves. This is a standing calf press that this gym offers. I perform 10 to 15 repetitions with a given weight, then lower to the bottom step for another 10 to 15 half reps. Do this for a period of 3 sets in between, actively stretching the calves at the lockout portion of the rep as shown here. My calves are not the biggest, nor do I have very, very big legs. They're actually kind of tiny, but as you can see, my calf muscle working at the top portion of the rep, the most contraction here. The goal is to fill calves with blood with high repetitions in a dynamic training principle style. Very, very high intensity, not so much high weight. After this was done, we move on to a seated calf press as shown here. Another 10 to 15 reps for about 2 to 3 sets. Do just enough where your gastrocnemius is on fire. Now the icing on the cake, we're moving on to leg lifts. Here I am performing another 10 to 15 repetitions as lower abs is my weak spot here, just body weight. Just so my abs can kind of get warmed up for the sets. I moved on next to a ab crunch machine as shown here. I'm not doing full range of motion as I'm beginning to get warmed up. For our first working set, here I have a 12-pound dumbbell in between my legs performing a leg lift for about 5 to 6 repetitions, then dropping the dumbbell and performing another 5 to 6. Superset this with the ab crunch. Here I'm almost using the whole stack on the machine as this isn't very heavy. Perform another 8 to 10 repetitions of this circuit. Superset with the leg lifts. You can do a drop set as shown if needed. I had a little bit of extra energy with the pre-workout in me, so I decided to just throw this in there. I then supersetted this with a iso hold leg lift. As you can see here, my legs are completely parallel and I am forming an L-shaped pull-up, holding this position for about 10 to 20 seconds as best I can without losing form. After that, rested about 30 to 45 seconds, and being that cardio time was pressed, I did a form of Tabata, HIIT cardio, burpees, superset with rope battles here, rope smacks against the ground. I'm performing about 5 seconds to 10 seconds of rope slams, rotating with a burpee in between for the icing on the cake. Okay, this is our growth insulin. Always have on hand a glucose disposal agent. This is alpha lipoic acid. This will ensure that all the carbs directly don't turn into any sort of fat storage. Control that insulin. Touch on briefly what I do daily as a lifestyle when it comes to supplementation and nutrition. As for this trainer, I haven't really made a nutrition program overview. I kind of just threw it out there at you guys without anything. So this is kind of my supplement closet or stack here. This is everything that I've taken over the years, stuff accumulated, stuff I don't even use. But my main stack, as of now, as you know, is this high activation extent perform aminos. I take those pre-workout, intra-workout, and post-workout. Recaged pre-workout. This is also another recaged. Psyllium whole husks I have with one meal spread out throughout the day to cleanse that colon. In here, I just got an order of green tea extract, L-carnitine, and fish oil. I will take one of those with every single meal, one serving. Protein is recaged. My before bed protein is BPI Best Protein, which is right there. Kind of like a milk isolate, casein. Not 100%, but it does the trick. Alpha lipoic acid that I didn't show here, but that's what I use as a glucose disposal agent when I inject Novolin R and soon to be using Humalog and Lantus. That's what I use to ensure that all those carbohydrates I'm consuming are muscle synced instead of fat, because there's two cells, fat cells and muscle cells, that insulin can draw to. So we want to overview today. We did 2 IUs of growth in the morning upon waking at 6 a.m. before going to the gym. Another 1 IU post-workout. The reason why I kind of kept it to 1 IU instead of 2 or 3, what most people do, I'm trying to be cost effective with it. I only bought 6 months worth if I use 2 IUs 5 times a day, take off the 2 days. That way it's more cost effective, saves more money. So I'm trying to be as lenient with it as possible. I also did Novolin R, 3 injections at 5 IUs each injection. You're probably wondering and asking Chris, why the hell did you do 3 injections of Novolin R? This is a slower acting insulin, not so much slow like Lantus or immediate like Humalog, but it's more intermediate in between the two. Reason why I did early morning 6 a.m. post-workout, which is around 9 a.m. and then I did another shot around 1. That way this will be out of my system in probably about the next 10 minutes. Once it hits 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, I'll be up probably about 11. So I won't be sleeping in any sort of hypoglycemia. And I'm making sure at dinner now, which is about 6 ounces of I have round steak with raw garlic, tomatoes, and some asparagus cooking here in the oven right below me that you can't see. And I don't think I'll show you because you know what cooked asparagus looks like. So tomorrow's going to be an active rest day as well as fasting up until about 1 or 2 o'clock, with the added growth. And did I mention I got a supplement package in today? I got cage muscle L-carnitine, green tea, fish oil, a life support tab, which has like some red yeast rice, some milk thistle for overall vitality and health. So I'm pretty excited to be using that to throw that into my program, because that's much needed. If there's one thing that you should spend money on, guys, it's health supplements. So I will see you all tomorrow. It's about 7 p.m. again. I'm probably going to be closing out here for the last video. So I will see you guys tomorrow on day number, 35? Woo! 35. We got like, 20 days left? Holy shit. See you guys tomorrow.